everyone, and welcome to another very useful session of Career by Design. As you're aware, Career by Design session is about helping students, employees, and people who actually want to, go forward in their careers. Yeah. And today's session is about helping you choose a mentor. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the famous book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, once said in an interview, I have a mentor or coach for just about every single area of my life. And believe me, he was an extremely successful man. So, why is a mentor so important for anyone who is or wants to be successful? And how should we know how to choose one? Famous speaker and motivational coach Bob Proctor, who himself had many mentors throughout his life, has aptly quoted that a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps to bring it out of you. It may sound surprising to you, but if you start searching, we shall find that every successful person has had not one, but many such mentors to guide him throughout his professional pursuits. Hence, if you wish to stand out and achieve your true potential in life, this session is going to give you a great head start. So, I shall quickly run you through a brief introduction of how and why and by whom these Career by Design sessions are conducted with some of the best exceptional coaches and subject matter experts to guide you personally month after month. Well, Career by Design, a brainchild of Amazing Workplaces and Commander Navneet Bali, is a series of events that we conduct to help job aspirants, be it students, employees, or transitioning officers, to help them prepare themselves for the job market. We do this through workshops and sessions like mock-up interviews, expert Q&A sessions, consultation sessions, etc. Amazing Workplaces is a global employer branding, content and media platform. Organizations across the globe write and talk about their best practices on amazing workplaces to make themselves stand out as great employers in the eyes of their future employees. Commander Bali, our chief mentor, is an ex-Navy professional. He is director, Northern Region, Narayana Health. Commander Bali is committed to mentoring students, especially in the healthcare segment, to help them take the best career decisions for themselves. Today, he shall be sharing his knowledge and experience with you as a panelist. Our second panelist is Vinay Trivedi, Global CHRO, Therapy. Vinay is an HR professional with 14 years of experience in the field of talent management, talent engagement, and talent acquisition across IT, banking, insurance, and fintech sectors. Vinay regularly connects with the student community to mentor them in shaping their career. Our third panelist is Dr. Prashant Chauhan, Director Operations, Center for Sight. Dr. Prashant enjoys identifying and mentoring young leaders and takes pride in their pursuits. He is a speaker at various international and national conferences and a trainer in healthcare management, leadership, communication skills, and many other disciplines. Coming to our sponsors, Grad Recruit is a recruitment and staffing solutions company that supports organizations in building their human capital with a deep understanding of business and functional requirements and a strength of over 100 recruiting experts. Grad Recruit has set an excellent benchmark for industry sourcing capabilities and niche hiring skills. And yes, I'm Ekta Kapoor, your moderator for today's event. I'm the co-founder of Amazing Workplaces, an employer branding, content and media platform for human resources. I sincerely believe that people are at the core of every organization and need to be nurtured in an environment of great culture. I'm passionate and extremely curious about the best practices that form the foundation of any workplace culture and people management policies. So, once again, a warm welcome to Commander Bali, Vinay Trivedi, and Dr. Prashant Chauhan, and all of you who have joined here today with us. Thanks for choosing to learn today. It just shows your dedication towards your growth, and I assure you that you shall go back from here more enriched with a lot of takeaways. So, Commander Bali, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ekta. Thank you so much for all the wonderful people who have joined today on this Saturday afternoon. And thanks, Prashant, Vinay, who are going to be in this journey today, along with all of you who are linked in through this platform. I think today's topic is a very pertinent topic and something that has been under the carpet for a very, very long time, especially in our country. We usually have seen that in the modern Indian history and in the modern world that we live in, this great relationship, the mentor and the mentee relationship, or what a mentor is supposed to be doing and how a mentor can help, has taken a back seat. If you step back a little bit into our Puranas, into our old history of this country, you will find that almost across our history, some of them we read through mythology, some of them we read through the books of Panchtantra, Jatka tales, some of them come through our scriptures. We've always seen that almost every hero, every person who has now been heard and written about in history books always had a mentor. If you remember this doha by I don't know whether it was Kabir or Rahim, is Guru Govind Dohu Khade Kake Lagu Paye. So Balihari Guru Apno Govind Dio Milai. So it goes on to say that even to reach God, you required a guru. And of course, we always look at guru in a very different way. Your teachers could be your gurus, your parents could be your gurus, and then you have mentors who are totally different. So I think today's panel has some of absolutely wonderful people to discuss this, a topic which, as I said in the beginning, does not come out so much in our country, but it is of immense importance. Somehow, in our, very, very fast-paced life, we have seen that we need to sort of take a pause, stop, think about this very critical relationship between a mentor and a mentee, because it has the potential to catapult careers, to catapult lives, to catapult people who are struggling, to catapult people who are not struggling, successful, want to be more successful, to catapult people who are in the zone which they are seeking help to do amazing things. And also, how is it different from let us say a teacher? How is this different from, let us say, your boss? How is it different from a manager? How is it different from people whom you talk to on a daily basis? I think Dr. Prashant and Vinay are correctly placed today to sort of help you in all those questions. I'm sure everyone who is here today will be immensely benefited by the experience of Prashant and Vinay as we talk, and maybe I'll pitch in between whenever I can and whenever Ekta wants me to. But I would suggest that you will have huge amount of questions going on in your minds. Make it very interactive. Ask as many questions as you have. Let us thrash it out. Let us talk about it, so that at the end of this session, you're very sure about what you want to do and how you want to take it forward. Thank you, Ekta, for this session once more. I'll come in again when you want me to. Over to you.
Yeah, Vinay, can we have it from you?
I'd just say that sit back and learn as much as you can in the next 60 to 90 minutes. There'll be a lot of information that you will get. What do you do out of that information is going to be critical, and we're going to discuss about how you assimilate these data points that you get, and what do you do with it after the session. So that's my 2 cents to start.
Thanks, Vinay. Dr. Prashant? Yeah.
So this opportunity, when it came, when Commander Bali called me up and said that there is a webinar on mentoring, I jumped out because it's, there is a mentee in me for life, and I've been a mentor for over a decade, but I would always remain a mentee, and the gratification that you get in learning from people and the personal growth and development that it allows you, which you can't do yourself. I even say every self-made man also has had people who have, mentored and supported and made them achieve what they have achieved. Choosing the right mentor and also setting the expectations right. And in all the lives of my, people mentoring me, I would say that they are still in connection, or I'm still connected to them. So that's almost like a lifelong relationship that you form. The equation changes, it becomes more informal, they become more friendly with you once probably that the mentoring phase is over. But it is something that you cherish in your life, and I really hope that you are able to find the right mentor, because what impact they can make in your life is something that you will cherish. So look forward to an interaction. I think that more and more questions and feedback that comes in, I think let's keep it as interactive as ever. And that's how things like these remain alive.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Commander Bali, for sharing, your intros with us and your thoughts for today's event. So firstly, I'd like to share with our audience that, as you know, all three panelists for today, they're highly successful in their own fields. And so first and foremost, I would like to ask each one of them to take turns and share their own experience of mentoring and being mentored. So, Dr. Prashant, we'll start with you.
So as I said that I am somebody who treats myself as a mentee for life. So it's not that at a certain age or phase of your life, you believe that you have learned everything. And in these past 22 years, I've had the blessing of, multiple mentors. So, and some of them have been bosses, some of them have been seniors in the same organization. And off late, I've been even blessed to have mentors outside the organization, and people who bring skill sets which I have been yearning or seeking for. And they have been kind enough. I think one word which describes every good mentor is that they're very kind people, because they are willing to share and they are willing to spare time and energy. And so I always look at mentors as friends, philosophers, and guides, because that's what they are doing. And so many people have shaped me. So what I am today, I would give all the credit to those people. And I think when I found this, that you can't always be takers, you need to become givers also. So in the past 10, 12 years, I've passed it on. So whatever I've learned, I've taken the opportunity through, in many of the organizations, through structured programs. So we've created, year-long management development programs that I've done in current and past organizations, where we have chosen a few people and looked at their strengths and weaknesses and worked. And the biggest joy that I get from mentoring is when the people who are not even working in the same organization, when they achieve something good, they get promoted or they pick up a new assignment. If I am one of the first few people that they share it with the very, very excited phone call that they say that, want to thank you. And sometimes it is even 5-7 years after I had last interacted with them. And I think that makes it all so special, that, all the effort, and trust me, it takes a lot of effort, that you need to first understand their needs and then help them become better. And I think that the biggest job of a mentor is to make the mentee the best version of themselves. So for understanding them is, I think, the most important thing. And I've been lucky enough to have had people in my life who did that. And I have also been blessed that I've been able to carry it forward within the same organization. And I think the power of LinkedIn today, now, people are approaching you randomly sending messages, and they see your content on LinkedIn and they feel that this could be a person. And I've had people who walked into my office and who are not even working in the same industry and said, I just want to spend some time. And if I have been able to make some impact, I think that's what I intend to do. And I think also over the period of time, I have seen that you learn as a mentor. Also, you become better. So a mentor of me today is probably much better than a mentor of what I was, say, 5-7 years ago. So I think it's a symbiotic relationship. The mentees also, with their experiences and how you handle them, teach you a lot, make you also a better person. And I still look forward to opportunities whenever I get to even connect with people and who are experts in their field, and still look at that opportunity to interact. And as I said, that these relationships are for life, and your mentors are people who would always be happy when you share good news with them. And that's what I also intend whenever I have something that I'm proud of or I'm happy. I think mentors are the people who are first in my mind, that I should, they're like the gurus, like that we have in the Indian mythology. And that's how we treat mentors. And I think we are lucky enough if we are able to get a good mentor. I think choosing a mentor also is a very important decision, how you choose the right person. And if you've made that, then continue along. It needs a lot of discipline, because this is not like a coach can sometimes be a short assignment where you have a very particular skill set, then you move on. A mentoring relationship is a very long-term relationship, and hence having the patience and the wherewithal to ensure that you get what you actually were seeking for is the key here.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Prashant. So, Vinay, let's hear it from you also. Yeah.
Dr. Prashant covered a lot of ground already. Before I could start off with what I want to share as my thoughts, there are about 35 of you here on the platform, on the class today. Can you use the chat window to sort of share with us one very clear expectation that you have from this session? And of course, that cannot be choosing a mentor, which is there on Ekta's screen, which is why all of you are here. But I want to understand, what is it that you're expecting out of this? I mean, we can share our life stories and we can share what you should do. As they say that it's free gyan that we're all sharing with each other. But while we do that, we might as well share what you expect. So can I request whoever is listening in to go to the chat window quickly and share one expectation. You're spending a Saturday, you're spending 60 to 90 minutes with us. There should be at least one thing that you should definitely learn that you can implement in your lives. So I'll wait to see what expectations people have. I have 2, I need 30 more. You see, when we come on these sessions, we make sure that the participants are also doing a lot of work. We just don't do monologue talking. Ekta knows that very well. I'm seeing that there have been a few people who have 4, just 4. How to handle failures and motivate team. To learn the traits and qualities of a mentor. That's an excellent point. And we will see how between the 3 of us, we cover that through the session. Difference of a mentor and coach. Okay. What else? Expectations from mentees when the field of operations are going to be piled apart. Okay. All right. So keep them going. And when you're listening into us, and if you still, want to share expectations, keep adding them. Rather share points that you want answers to, really, so that we can cover them in any aspect. For me, and it might sound absurd, or it might sound very normal, but I do not have a constant mentor. For a simple fact that I'm continuing to outgrow myself as an individual. And I think that while, a mentor is an anchor, but I think that that anchor needs to change into deeper seas from time to time to be able to, hold me and guide me and mentor me. And because I do not have a permanent mentor, for me, I see three things when I call somebody a mentor. First, if I'm able to learn from that individual, or if that individual is able to give me a direction in terms of how to do things. Okay. Learn is the first parameter. Second parameter, and this is going to be a little unsettling for a lot of us, is the mentor asking me to stretch a bit out of my comfort zone? Is the mentor really, not just going with the flow and saying, okay, this is how it is, but is there a stretch in what the mentor asks me? And mentor normally doesn't give solutions. Mentor normally asks the right question. So is he asking me stretched questions, right? So stretch is the second one, because you only grow when you stretch. You stretch yourself, you put in efforts, then you grow. Then you further stretch yourself, put in efforts, then you grow, right? So is he doing that? Third, is my mentor giving me a mind space to experiment? For me, it is very, very important that any person that I look up to, I'm able to learn something, the person is making me stretch, and the person asks me to experiment. When Dr. Prashant just said that, mentors are supposed to get the best version of ourselves, right? How do you get the best version of yourself? Because human mind is so beautiful that you don't know what you can do or what you can achieve. Trust me, right? Sometimes things that you think that are impossible, you suddenly realize that you've done it. And that can only be possible with the spirit of experimentation or trying new things in your life, right? So if I look at somebody as a mentor, I look at these three qualities. Why am I sharing these three distinct qualities? Is because all of you here are either going to seek mentors or are mentoring somebody. So this is a very critical, I would say, mantra, for lack of a better word, that you should use when you're having conversations, either mentoring or mentee conversations. Because if you're not stretching your mentees, or if you're not really getting stretched by questions asked by a mentor, if you're not learning or you're not teaching, and if you're not letting that experiments take its own shape, it could be, and it would lead into failures, it would lead into mistakes, it would lead into some experiments really boomeranging, some experiments really taking off. But if you don't even know what you can do and what you cannot do. So therefore, these are my three things when I really look at a mentor, or when I'm talking to somebody who reaches out to me to be mentored. That's my starting comment, Sekta.
Okay, thank you, Vinay. Commander Bali?
So I think Vinay and Prashant have kind of covered it completely. What Prashant also said, taking a cue from our Puranas, and then Vinay went on to say about his own experience about mentoring. I personally believe that this mentor-mentee ecosystem is an extremely sacred, lifetime, honest, and a very, very important ecosystem or a relationship. It has to be differentiated between anything normal that you go through in life as far as increasing your knowledge is concerned. It has to be something which is, actually speaking, for that person, an out of the world kind of an experience. It is not a normal day-to-day run of the mill kind of a interaction. So all the questions that are in our mind will be answered if we put these 5-6 qualities which define this relationship between the mentor and the mentee. So I talked about it. I talked about honesty. I talked about lifetime relationship. I talked about extraordinary. I talked about out of the world. I talked about it being magical. And if somehow these 3-4 boxes don't fit in, then this relationship is not a mentor and mentee relationship. I was just looking at some of the very important mentor-mentee relationships in the world, and a few of them, I was very surprised. I like Steve Jobs mentoring Mark Zuckerberg. And in fact, when Steve Jobs passed away, Mark Zuckerberg had remarked that thank you for being a mentor, and thanks for showing that what you can build can change the world, and he misses him. And then there are many more famous relationships, like closer to our home, Gopal Krishna Gokhale mentoring Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a mentor to Nelson Mandela, although it was not a very typical classical mentor-mentee relationship, because it was happening almost as if in remote. And so similarly, you can see that these relationships were extraordinary in nature. They were, as I said, not the normal run-of-the-mill relationships. So if I look at my own professional growth over many, many years, I think those people whom I considered that I could look up to, I had an outstanding way I could communicate with them, being completely honest. And so I also wanted them to be honest. Those whom I think could bring in great amount of value in my own life, those whom I thought were in their own fields, they were people who had wisdom and experience which could help me. I think they have remained for me from almost like complete of my professional life. So these are some of the important things that I think are very, very critical when you look at this specific relationship between the mentor and the mentee. Now, I also feel that a huge number of us today cannot say that I had a mentor for sure, or there are some people whom I'm mentoring. It's quite possible, and it's quite possible that you in your different stages of your life, you had some people who came in, starting from your own parents, your teachers, some of them who last. Your parents obviously last with you, throughout your lifetime, or their lifetime. But there are some teachers whom you thought were at a particular time of your life, they mentored you for something, and then you moved on, then someone else came, but they still remain today also, as your fall in people. Let us say you are finding yourself lost, or you're finding yourself asking for some answers, then you fall back upon them. So a mentor-mentee relationship may not be exactly that you spend in a week 1 hour's time, or you are in touch with that person all through. They could also be relationships which could be your north stars, or pole stars, for you to go and talk to them or share with them from time to time. So these are some of my initial thoughts, Ekta, and we will talk more about it as we go along. Yeah.
Thank you, Commander Bali, and thanks to Dr. Prashant and Dr. Vinay for adding your inputs to this discussion. So now we shift to the first question, which is the importance of the mentor in your life, professionally as well as personally. Basically, we want to understand the importance of a mentor in your professional as well as personal life. So I want all three of you, touch upon this briefly. So what is the importance of a mentor?
Prashant.
Yeah, Dr. Prashant.
Yeah. So if I look at everybody's journey, and people have a 5-year journey so far, or a 10 or 15-year, I just want to look at them subtracting that guide out of their journey, if they had one, and to see where they would have reached. And I can say with a lot of confidence that, as Commander Bali said, that who's got your six. I wrote about it on LinkedIn today. The person who's got your back, somebody who knows you can fall back to if there is a thing that you need guidance on. Imagine if that person wasn't there and you had to, take all the decisions and all the things on your own, and you didn't have somebody to guide you. I'm sure you may not have reached where you'd have moved forward in life for sure, but you would not have reached to where you have reached today. And I think all of us are lucky if we have that one or two or three people in our life to help us, because all of us don't get mentors in our bosses. We're not lucky enough that every time that you have a boss will also be your mentor. Sometimes he will just set the expectations and tell you, go and do it. He may or she may not give you the guidance as to how to achieve that, or look at you, okay, this is an area that you need to work upon, let me help you do that. If you have a boss who's a mentor, perfect. I think you don't need to search anywhere else, but sometimes we need to probably search beyond our bosses. And if we don't have that, are we going to be, as I said back in the beginning, the best version of ourselves? Maybe we would be lesser than that. And I think that for people who have had mentors, can explain it to people who don't have mentors, how critical and how important it is to have them in your life. And for you to be a more wholesome professional personality, but and also understand that there are times that the mentor will also help you in your personal space. It is a little bit of a gray area where you talk to your mentor also about something on the personal front, and that's why I say they're more informal. The relationship of a mentor and mentee is more informal than formal, because there is that trust and confidence that you can share things with the mentor which you may otherwise feel hesitant. So that comfort zone. So also the relationship needs to have that trust. You need to be able to trust your mentor that you can go with anything and that there won't be any judgment. Sometimes in the professional field, when you go and literally open your heart up, the first thing which happens is judgment. And you can see that in the face of the person that you are being judged right now. And what that will deter you is that you will never go back again, because you get that lack of confidence that I don't want to be judged again. So I'm not going and sharing. And the toughest word to say is that I need help, because your ego comes into the place, your self-respect comes into the place, and you don't want to do that. But with the mentor, that's not the case. You have the confidence, the belief that that person is not going to judge you, but will actually, tide you through those tough times. And it's absolutely blessed to have a person like that. And as that Vinay said that, you need not be tied to that same mentor, because the mentor that you needed 15 years ago or 10 years ago may not be the same kind of mentor you need today. Because as you evolve, you need people who also have more depth than what your mentor had 10 years ago to be able to take you to the next level. And as as life goes on, you keep adding mentors in your life. And to say that, can you be what you are today without a mentor? I would say probably not. And hence, it is extremely important in your development personally and professionally that you have that guiding light to help you with that. And so I feel that from my personal experience and people that I keep speaking to who have been lucky enough to have mentors in their lives, they are definitely much better today and look forward to becoming better tomorrow, because there's somebody they can bounce their ideas off and thoughts off and kind of be vulnerable. I think one thing that we need to be is be vulnerable enough to open up. And that comfort zone you get with a mentor, because the person is going to listen to you, understand you, and then give you that solution, which end of the day will be implemented by you, but the thought process will be kind of kindled in your mind by that mentor. And I have seen over my life that they have made a huge impact. And as we are always grateful to our teachers, I would always be grateful to the mentors that I have and look forward to the mentors that I will have in the future to make that indelible impression that we need in our lives.
Ekta and Vinay and everyone here, I just will, build a little scenario here. Let us say you were going on a journey, and consider it that you decided to go on a journey, on a great journey where you started off. I mean, that is your life journey, but let's keep it to one side. Now, most of us, okay, when you get on a journey, let us say we'll ask a question to someone, we'll move on, and this is a new journey for us. We have never been on this journey. We are doing it alone. So we think that we can do it alone, and we go on this journey. As and when something comes up, we solve an issue, we move next, we move to the next place, we go there, we see that place, we move on next, and then we continue to move on. This is what 99.9% of us are doing today. Now, let us think about that. You're going on a journey and you meet up one person, okay? And that person says, listen, just sit down, take a breather, drink a glass of water. And I will tell you, that this part of the journey is better that if you do it this way. If you take a left detour, there are more number of trees, the path is a little better. And since I see you are barefooted, and the road also has grass on it, and so you can walk nicely. And as you are moving, you have a lovely place to eat, and then when you move to this place, it is like this. So I suggest you do that. And anyway, if you think that I can be of any more help to you in your journey, please let me know if you have any more questions. So you go on that path, because one thing is you are happy to see that this person who's telling you about this journey is very honest. He has no selfish interests in your journey. Okay, you found this person, and the person he's not asking that, listen, if I give you this advice, you pay me this money or that money or something like that, or I have some vested interest. There is none. Now you move on in the journey and you suddenly find there's a huge storm and tempest, and you are completely lost, and there are dark skies. And then one thing is that with your little experience in life, you take some actions, but the other part is then you meet up another person, and that person says, listen, I've been in this part of the world, and I know this storm or tempest lasts only for 3 hours. In this 3 hours, you can sit down and do this. This is the place you go, and this is what it is. Because with my own experience, I have noticed that it will sort of move out after a few hours or things like that. So you are able to then better move in a better manner through that storm. Then you move out into sunlight and sunshine, and everything is nice, and then you're again going on a journey, and again you meet up somebody who says that, listen, you are in this lovely part of the world, and I suggest you enjoy, sit down, do some boating, go on this trek up the mountain, and I think there's a very beautiful place down below, and because I have been here, I know this, and this is what. So similarly, you could have done this journey without any one of these people. Truly speaking, you could have done. But look at this now, that you met these 3 people who made your life much, much more meaningful. They made that journey much, much more easier. They made your decisions much, much more simpler, and without having any vested interests. And when you got out of the journey, you were in touch with these people, you knew these people, and that is exactly what mentors are supposed to be doing to you. They are supposed to be present, guiding without selfish interests, without actually becoming a part of the journey. They are not traveling with you maybe, without actually gaining anything from it, because it is your journey. It is not the mentor's journey. They have done their part, they've done their journeys, their life story is different. Maybe they have also gone through a lot of turmoils, but this is what mentors are supposed to be doing. That in your life journey, whether your professional part or your personal journey, these are those people who, with their own wisdom, having lived that kind of a life, having gone through all that, are wise enough, are learned enough, are honest enough, are communicative enough, are selfless enough to make your journey, which you are going through, which is your journey, much, much more better and much, much more, meaningful. And that is what I feel is the value of the mentors.
Thanks, Commander Wali, for adding on to what Dr. Prashant had said and sharing this interesting perspective. on which mentorship can be built. So Vinay, can you just add your points also to it?
I'll keep it a little short because it's already been covered at length by both Commander Pali and Dr. Prashant. Like I said earlier, right, a mentor is someone who helps you learn, stretch, and experiment. I think what Commander Bali was explaining, and if I have to put that in a maybe slightly more easier, straightforward statement for all of you as well. And he beautifully spoke about that if you have to go from one place to another, like if there's a path that you have to cross, you'll anyways do it. But when you meet people, you do it better. This is what I classically call arms and ammunitions that you may have to deal with different situations. Now, because you're, for example, talking to somebody who you call as a mentor, you are getting different ways of doing the same thing, or you're getting a direction of, okay, why not this direction? Why do I have to go like this itself, right? It's a thought. They're never going to give you complete solutions. That's not a job of a mentor anyways. The mentor essentially will give you directions for you to move in a certain path or for you to move in a certain way, which I call as providing arms and ammunitions that you need. And you can pick and choose which ones to use when you're going through the journey to be able to get from point A to point B the way you want to. Now, there are mentors and mentees both on the session. For mentees, it is very simple. Every time you talk to somebody you consider a mentor, if somebody is saying yes to everything you say, or if somebody is saying that, oh, I understand you deserve a little break, I understand you do, by the way, that is okay. But if there are people who are saying yes to whatever you say, they're not mentors, because they're not helping you grow. And for you to grow, you have to stretch. For you to stretch, you have to have the ability to learn. For you to have the ability to learn, you have to experiment and try new things. For you to be able to do that, there has to be somebody who's giving that perspective to you and not just saying, oh, you're perfect, go ahead, right? So if you are looking up to somebody as a mentor, they have to understand these points very well. And if you're a mentor, please give very, very practical, very, very, like I said, right, arms and ammunitions. Give them directions which they can follow. Get them to stretch. If they're not stretching, if they're not getting out of their comfort zone, while sometimes it may take a longer time, some people can do it faster, which is okay. People have their own speed, but ensure that your mentees are in the direction of growing. And that can only happen when you make them stretch. So the importance of a mentor or mentee for me, I mean, I normally do not make professional and personal distinctions, in the sense that we're all human beings. And I mean, I find it hilarious when people say that, oh, you're professional, so you should not get angry. Oh, you're at workplace, you should not be emotional, right? We're human beings. We emote when we have to. I mean, they cannot be, too many, unless you're like, in case of Commander Bali, I mean, if you're in services, then there is no scope for you to do that. But otherwise, I think we're human beings. For me, the importance of the right mentor is somebody who helps me grow, somebody who makes me think in a different direction, somebody who gives me arms and ammunitions to be able to move in a certain direction in a more fulfilling way. And that's what I would usually tell everybody who's listening to me as well.
Thanks, Vinay. So now, we have actually understood in detail the importance of importance of a mentor in our life. So from here on, let's move on to how one can choose a mentor. So, once we decide that we need a mentor in our life, we would like to understand where we can look for a mentor, how should we start to, who should we talk to, and how can we connect with a mentor? Because, we might like somebody and we feel that, yes, this person can mentor us, but we don't know how to connect with them, or we're really unsure of, whether they'll respond to us or not. So can you just clarify where to look for a mentor, who to talk to, and how to connect with a mentor. So, Dr. Prashant, we can start with you.
So I think even how do we search for a mentor has evolved over the years. Just imagine 20 years ago, if you wanted to look for a mentor, I think the ways and means were very limited. Most of the time, it was in the same organization you would look for, and you obviously were not networked or connected enough to look beyond. And that many times would have been probably the boss that you look up to, or another department head. See that the journey is very inspiring, and there are things that that person can guide you and make you better at, and then you approach that person and that person becomes your mentor. But I think we are very lucky to be alive in a generation today where the ways and means of finding a mentor are immense. LinkedIn is a perfect tool because it is a professional networking site where you are able to connect to people not just in the same industry, not just in the same country. You can go out, and there are people who are so warm and kind that they are willing to spare time for you. So I remember, at one point of time when I was working in Apollo Hospital and I was just into the corporate world, and I felt myself that I need to learn the ropes, how to handle teams, conflict resolution, things were there. And I luckily was, blessed to have a boss who had all the things, and I could look up to him. And in the 2 years that I spent there, I was lucky enough to be mentored by him and remained in touch till date. And I'm very grateful to a lot of the nuances that I've were picked up in those 2 years, when I take the opportunity whenever I get to still interact with him, meet him, and still able to get those pearls of wisdom, which keep making me a better person. But today you did not do that. Today I think one thing is, we look for people who inspire us. We look for people who have things sorted out more than what we have in ourselves, and we want to become like them. It's almost like you want to emulate somebody, so you want to kind of help becoming a clone, or not becoming a clone, but kind of becoming similar to that person. And then you want to go to that person and approach that person and say that, will you mentor me? It need not be that every time that you do that, the person is going to say yes, because sometimes they may not have the inclination or the time to do that. Genuine shortage of time for them may be a reason they may not be able, or they may already have 2 or 3 people that they are mentoring that they will not be. But don't get disheartened, because it's such a connected world today that you try, you will get that person. Choosing is extremely important, because you need to be sure. I think one thing which I would request everybody as a mentee is that be self-aware. You need to be aware about where you are, what are the areas that you need to work upon, and what's that vision or the purpose in your life where you want to go. Once you know where you are, and also more importantly where you need to go, then you will know where the gaps are. And with that gaps, then you have to basically search within the organization, within the industry, within the country, outside the country, the person who can handhold you and help you reach there, and have the courage. And I think I was a little shy in connecting to people outside my network and talk to them, or even invite them on things, on discussion. But I think I've kind of now lost that thing, thankfully. You have to be a little shameless, that even though you don't know the person, have the courage to, the maximum what will happen is the person will say no, but you may still strike an interesting conversation. Have the courage to kind of approach, and you may get 10 no's, but you'll get that one yes that you needed. And once you get that one yes, then you need to kind of hold on to that person. And as I said, that today compared to 2 decades ago, things are so much easier, and you can understand about that person, and you can know about that person. It's almost like when you pick a job, we do our research. You find out about the company, you find out about the culture. You want to go there or not go there is a decision that you want to make. I think that same thing also happens with mentors. You also know about that person, and kind of a track record of it. How has he been with mentoring? What has been the impact that that person has had on the lives of people? And if you get to hear good things, it gives you confidence. When it gives you confidence, then it will be that thing that you will strike a conversation. and find that person. And it need not be even from the same industry, because the skill set that you're lacking doesn't have to be a technical skill set. It could be something that from a life perspective, you can even learn from a person, maybe from a very different industry, and that value that will be added. Sometimes we are very focused. I am from healthcare, so all my mentors are needing to be from healthcare. I think open up your mind. Don't kind of remain kind of that tunnel vision that I need to search for people in the healthcare industry. No. And but in the same country, same city, I have the convenience. I think what the COVID has done is, and like right now, we are on a Zoom platform and we are interacting. The value of distance. Yes, nothing beats face to face. I still, when we do things face to face versus what we do on the online medium, but still we can do it. It's not that you need to be always sitting face to face. You may have once in a while face to face. Others can be, they are distant mentoring programs which happen. It's not that they don't happen. So, but the first step still comes from that fact that become aware of what you are, who you are, and also what you want to do. And once you've got that sorted out, you have so many avenues. Now you get to kind of research and find people who may be able to help you. If you get that person in the same organization, you're lucky, because then the interaction becomes easier. It can be more frequent, and obviously if it's more frequent, they can gauge you, they can see the progress, they can guide you, versus something which is distant. And if you are able to get the right mentor, hold on to and gain all that you wished for.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Vinay, can you add your points to this? Yeah.
I think the word mentor itself may be quite overwhelming for people to understand. I'll simplify it, right? And since, in fact, we also had a question which Dr. Mahesh just asked, right? 3 tips to keep up the mentor relationship in a long way. And and it's very interesting, and it's very hard as well. Earlier, we would look up to mentors, gurus, coaches, teachers for knowledge. Today, knowledge is available online. What people are looking up to is, are you inspiring them to talk to you? If you're not inspirational enough, they may not even come back and talk to you next time. That's how fragile the nature of these relationships are till the time you build a strong bond. Since you do not have patience, I mean, somebody will say, well, why do I need to talk to this person? I may YouTube a video and maybe I'll have a self-help learning tool as well. So the first thing that you need to understand, if you're looking at choosing either a mentor, essentially, is you have to look at somebody who can inspire you, somebody who can surprise you. Today, I mentor a lot of people. One thing that is constant is that every time they come and tell me that, oh, today you told something that you had never told us before. And I keep laughing it out, saying that if I do not surprise you, if I do not give you new things, you will stop talking to me, right? So I think it's important that people understand this. Now, Dr. Prashant also mentioned that you have to be self-aware, you need to know your purpose. It could also be a scenario that we don't know. We don't know what our purpose is. We don't know what we want, right? And it's perfectly all right. As a mentor, if you are able to still have that conversation with somebody who's confused and ask the right questions for him or her to know what should be the purpose, then your job as a mentor is done. As a mentee, when you don't know, you will simply talk to multiple people just to possibly figure out what do you want to do. So therefore, it's okay not to have a purpose or okay to be confused, as far as you're reaching out to new people and trying to get into that alignment zone of what you want to do. That is critical. So it's important that on both sides, mentor and mentee, these are very simple things that you understand. And let's face reality, you have to inspire today to command respect. Earlier, if somebody says this is a coach or this is our guru, no questions asked. Today, that's not how it works. People want to have options. People want to compare. People want to look at what else can you offer. And that can only happen if you surprise them, if you think new, if you are also, as a mentor, learning how to deal with your mentees differently every time you connect with them. That's critical. Over to you, Ekta.
Yeah, thanks, Vinay. Commander Bali, so can you just add your points to how one can look for a mentor?
Yeah. So I think most of the points have been covered by Prashant and Vinay. And I will go back to our mythology or our scriptures, because there are many, many examples in our own, where we can take. So look at, Mahabharata, and look at Arjun. And Arjun had, throughout his life, three mentors primarily, which we know. The first mentor was Dronacharya, who mentored Arjun to learn the art of, Dhanur Vidya, or how to use the bow and the arrow. Then comes Bhisham Pitama, who was again his mentor to learn life's lessons. And then you have Krishna, who was mentoring him in the battlefield. The first and foremost thing that we need to understand is that there will be different mentors for different parts of your journey. At different times of your life, you will require different mentors if you think that this is something that you need to do, which I personally believe that you should. But although these mentors may remain throughout your life, but for different issues and for different parts of your life journey, you will require different mentors. Now, the question that you asked was, who can be a good mentor? How do you choose a mentor? So the first part of this was that you will require different mentors in different parts of your life. Second is the choice of a mentor is such an important and critical choice that if you decide to go on that path, first of all, because it can really, really be very harmful to you if you have a person who's actually not supposed to be mentoring you and you think that the person is your mentor, because that can cause you immense amount of harm than good. So that choice, whether you need to have that or you're good enough to go solo, is something that again relate back to my journey story, that you could still do it and still reach your destination, but this is what a mentor does. Now, as I said earlier also, and I think Vinay also talked about it, that and maybe Prashant, that a mentor has to be somebody who inspires you, who you believe has got something, which will help you. So that is very, very important. Some of them are physically present or interact with you, and some of them you also could take inspirations from their life journeys and take them as the mentors, and keep it to one side. Just giving another example from again our our own history and our own scriptures. And so Sikhism, when they had 9 gurus, which they thought built up whatever they were supposed to be doing at that point of time, decided that the 10th guru or thereafter will not be a person, it will be a book. So Guru Granth Sahib came to be a book which was then to mentor all people who followed later on. So imagine, from a person who were considered to be gurus or mentors, now you're moving towards a book, because the book is supposed to be mentoring and giving you all the answers that you have any question. Some people say that similarly about many of these great books in the world, that they give you all life answers. So it is not necessary to have a physical person or a physical relationship. You could have people from the past, people who are present, whom you may not be able to interact, also could be mentors. Now, important thing about physical mentorship that if you seek is that person empathetic, honest, sincere, and has time for you. That is important. If you go on the path of having a one-on-one mentorship program, or that, okay, this is the person, I want him to be my mentor. That person has to have time for you. The person has to be empathetic. The person has to believe in what he or she is doing to you on that journey. He has to be, have the wisdom to guide you and to mentor you for that. And one important thing I will also like to tell you, that's very, very important for that person to be trustworthy. Because the mentor-mentee relationship, many times, and I'm talking about this one-on-one relationship where you are physically or in touch with that person, you would many times go on to share very important life stories, your own life. Many times we are in that path because we consider our mentor to be somebody who's up there, and then you share so many things about your life which you may not have shared with anybody. So is that person trustworthy? That is very, very important. And then obviously coming down to a little bit more baser topics, I mean, exactly that, is money involved in this mentor-mentee relationship? Okay, or it is not involved? Do you think that you should pay your mentor? Do you think that mentor asks for money? So all these things are a little bit more in this very, very physical realm of mentorship. But underlying fact is that it is very, very important to choose the right mentor, or it is very, very important for the right mentor to get chosen, in your life. Yes, thank you, Ekta.
Thank you, Commander Bali. And now that we have actually understood more or less how to look for a mentor and how to connect with them, now another important point which comes to my mind is, what are the valid expectations and the invalid expectations that a mentee can have, from the mentor? So, many times a relationship might turn sour because the mentee starts having invalid expectations from the mentor. So, how does one really, somebody who actually wants to get mentored, understand what are the valid expectations and what are the invalid expectations? If you can throw light on this, it would be great. So, Vinay, we can start with you. Yeah.
Sure. When you're looking up to your mentor, and if you want to know what is valid and invalid expectation, right? Is the mentor talking long term? It's valid. Is the mentor talking short term? It's invalid. Anything that is a long-term versus short-term conversation, right? You will instantly know that if somebody is giving you a short-term quick fix, right? Definitely invalid expectation. I mean, if you're expecting a mentor to give you that, and if your mentor is giving you that, then even the mentor is invalid. I mean, let me put it that way, right? Second, direction versus solution, right? Valid versus invalid. Is the mentor giving us a direction, or is the mentee expecting a solution? It's not the mentor's job to give solution. It is for the mentee to find for solution. It is the mentor's job to give a direction. Because tomorrow, if the mentee takes that solution and fails, he's going to say this mentor is the one who gave me a wrong solution. So it can never be a mentor's job to solution, but it should be a direction. So it's whether it's directional or whether it's solution, valid, invalid. Is the mentor telling you new things or agreeing to whatever you say? Valid, invalid, right? If your mentor is saying new things or at least giving you new perspectives, then it at least is a valid mentee expectation. If the mentee is expecting that whatever I say, my mentor is going to agree, invalid. So like I said, long-term, short-term, direction, solution, new things, agreeing to everything. Is the mentor asking questions or giving answers? Again, valid, invalid. Asking questions is the mentor's job. Giving answers is the mentee's job. If the mentee is expecting answers from the mentor, which I said solution, direction, but also sometimes we just want the mentor, okay, ab bata do, you tell me what you want me to do. I will do that. And I will not blame you for a failure. Not acceptable, right? Invalid expectation, okay? Is the mentor listening more or is the mentor talking more? Again, valid, invalid, right? The whole objective of mentoring is to allow the mentee to grow. And the way a mentee grows is if the mentee is given that opportunity to speak. So are you listening more or are you talking more? Valid, invalid. And if a mentee realizes that in a 1 hour conversation, 50 minutes mentor spoke and 10 minutes mentee spoke, it's an invalid relationship in my mind, right? And these are again my very, very personal opinions. So these are my 5 valid to invalid theories. I'll repeat again: long-term, short-term, direction, solution, new things, agreeing with same things, asking questions versus giving quick answers. In fact, the mentor's job is to ask unsettling questions, not easy questions. The mentor's job is to ask questions that the mentee may not be comfortable with. If the mentee is comfortable with everything the mentor is asking, while it can, at an extreme level, can be a very mature, good relationship, but on most cases, it's going to be, I'm not pushing the mentee enough, right? And listen more to talk more. So that's my 5 cents, because I made 5 points, let me say, in that way. Shivakumar's question I'll quickly answer. I'll take 30 seconds to answer. Anything that is fluidly structured will give you good results. For example, a water in the bottle is fluidly structured, as in it's still maintaining a certain structure, but it is still fluid for the water to keep flowing up and down. So, when you're looking at, should I keep it very, very rigid, very, very strict? Answer is no. But do I not have any structure at all? The answer is the mentee may take you for a ride to Switzerland and come back and not achieve anything on the conversation, and then blame you for taking him to Switzerland. So, there has to be a structure. So think of a water, half filled water in a bottle. It's fluid, but it's still structured. So that's my answer to that. I hope I've answered or given you some direction, if not confused you, Shivkumar. Over to you, Ekta.
Thanks, Vinay. And before we proceed further to Dr. Prashant for his views, I'll just mention to everyone present here that we'll take up the questions at the end of the session. We have enough time. And meanwhile, to a few of your questions, you might just find answers in what this panelists are already speaking to you about, because we have certain questions already prepared in advance, and we've tried to cover as many points under this. So just wait, and if any of your questions still remain unanswered, we'll be happy to take them forward. Yeah, Dr. Prashant. Yeah.
So if I look at what are the expectations that a mentee, I'll talk about the valid expectations first. So I can actually call them 3 A's. Let's talk about 3 A's of what the expectations are of a mentee from a mentor. The first one is availability. I think that's the biggest problem which comes in a mentor-mentee relationship is the mentor available to the mentee to give time, to understand what's the expectations, to help in tiding over the areas of improvement, and finally guide the person to the end point where the person is seeking to be. And what happens is that as people grow busier in their lives and they have their professional and personal commitments, it is sometimes difficult to take out time, and especially if you have multiple mentees, how do you balance all your commitments and still be able to give time? I think but the mentee, that's the singular person. That person is one and only. So he doesn't or she doesn't know that there are other people also seeking that person's time. So you need to be not just physically, but mentally, emotionally available for the mentee. And when you are there, you should be focused. And whether it's a distant learning kind of a thing, or it's a face-to-face interaction. But the invalid expectations becomes available all the time. It's like you can't be messaging the mentor at 12 at midnight and say, I want an answer right now, because you are available, which means you are available all throughout. I think that's when the thing, it crosses the line, when your expectations become too much. But yes, to be available to help that person, guide that person, inspire that person is something which every mentee expects. The second A, I would say, is about being an active listener. And I think in today's day and age of people not listening, actually just hearing things, a mentee can get very frustrated if the mentor is not an active listener, is not willing to hear his side of her side of the story and what that person wants to convey. And if you are an active listener, you would grab the attention. You would be ensuring that, yes, you are listening to everything, grasping, understanding, and then giving the answers. I think sometimes we are in a hurry to kind of reply or give an answer. So we're not even understood or grasped what the context was. And a mentee has that basic expectation that you should be able to actively listen and then finally give guidances and solutions. The third A, and that's precisely the reason why you have approached that mentor, is to be analytical enough to dissect situations and then give solutions. And why do we go to a mentor? Because we look up. Typically, the mentor is always more experienced, is more elderly, more experienced, wiser. And that's the reason you're going to those mentors. How do you show that? You have to show that by being analytical, by understanding the person's requirements, dissecting it, and then coming up with kind of a roadmap of how the person should move forward. The person is not analytical enough, the person will be disappointed. The mentee, when is disappointed, will get silent and will quietly move on. Will try to find somebody else. So if you're able to do these things, you will be a successful mentor. Now, invalid expectations is we are sometimes looking for quick fixes. Now, the mentor is not a magician. He's not going to change your life in one day. You meet that person and tomorrow it's not an on and off switch that you were off and suddenly the mentor turns you on and you're like, absolutely everything is all hunky-dory. No, you have to be patient. And sometimes mentees I have seen are impatient. They want everything today, the generation that, I want, it's taking too much time. I don't think it's working out. And because of that, you will put off a mentor, and then the mentor, will come to you and say, I don't think I'm the right person for you. You are too impatient in your journey. You want everything yesterday. And that is not how this, and as I said, whether you're looking at coaching and all, mentorship is a long journey. It's not a short course. So it's not something which happens instantaneously. So if you are impatient, you will lose the focus of the mentor and eventually lose the mentor. And I think that is sometimes we have expectations of. And also, when you are going to a mentor, you may be sometimes going for a very specific solution because that mentor is an expert in that. But then what we sometimes think is that the mentor is going to solve all my problems. Now you may go to the mentor and start saying, okay, by the way, can you help me with this also? But that mentor doesn't have that skill set. He's not experienced in that. So what you're doing is you're thinking, right, one-stop shop, I'm going to go for everything to that same person, but it doesn't work out that way. And that is why I was like, Commander Bali and when I said that, over the period of our lives, we will have multiple mentors. Now you can't expect everything to be given to you by one person. And that is a very invalid expectation when you do that. And you will be disappointed. And if you're able to kind of, filter that and be patient, and your mentor is able to do those, the 3 A's that I talked about, I think you will have a fruitful and a kind of a fulfilling journey rather than get all agitated and frustrated.
Thanks, Dr. Prashant, for adding those 3 A's to this. And Commander Bali, would you like to add a few points here?
This is about unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I think primarily, most of the points have been covered by Vinay and Prashant. And I would say primarily, I think it might result from the wrong choice of a mentor or a wrong choice of a mentee from the beginning itself. Because expectations, if they are very clear from the beginning, you wouldn't come to a stage where that happens. As I said from the beginning, that choosing the right mentor, I think, is a very, very critical step because it can really, really mar otherwise a very, very healthy relationship. The second thing that I notice in this fast-paced life, that if you feel that the expectations are going haywire, and then I think the breakup happens very, very quickly because the kind of life that we are living in now, people are not waiting at all. We tend to move on much, much, much sooner. And that's why it's very, very important that, we choose the mentor and the mentee rightly. Expectations going haywire in the beginning itself is much, much better than expectations going haywire later on, because Later on, if expectations go haywire, then there is huge amount of information which has been shared between the mentor and the mentee, and you have been a part of the journey for a very long time. Then it, I think, results in a much more uglier situation. So I think this has to be thought of from the beginning itself. That's all, Ekta, from my side. Other Prashant and Vinay have already covered all the points.
Okay, thanks. So that brings us to the expectations that mentors have from their mentees. So you have been mentors, in your life journey, and you have some good experience of what kind of expectations mentors have from their mentees. So if you can, throw a little light on this. And I was just thinking that, since we are already, close to 1:30, it's better that, we just kind of quickly run through these important points, and so that we can also take up the questions, which will take up a lot of time. Yeah. So, Vinay, we can start with you. Yeah.
The only expectation I have as a mentor is that every conversation should end with an actionable, and the next conversation should have an update on the actionable. That is a non-negotiable for me. If I have a mentee for more than 3 times not really actioning on discussions or agreements, I normally slow down and say that, listen, till you don't action on it, I don't think you need a mentor. So for me, the only expectation is that whatever you agree on, you should see that set in motion in whatever way possible. That's the only expectation.
Okay, thanks, Vinay. You made it really short. Dr. Prashant, over to you. Yeah.
So as a mentor, I think we want the mentees to be open and honest. It's like if you hold back, or you are being diplomatic, or you're not sharing what is there deep inside, it will not give us the right guidance as to what you actually need or what you're actually looking for. So if you're able to do that, that will be a big help. Just be and be communicative, and listen and reflect also. It's like if we are giving you something, you have to also reflect, so we know that you are registering. So be there, be available. Also, I think it was a converse expectation that you also need to be, when we are talking about it. Half the time, if a mentee is distracted, is not even listening, it is a very putting off kind of a situation. But being communicative of what you are facing, it could be a scenario, be communicative and be honest. Have the courage to kind of share things rather than kind of keep it with yourself. And whenever there is a certain task given or a guidance given, it's very frustrating when you take it very casually and you don't do anything about it, and you come back to the next interaction and say, oops, I'm sorry. Because when you are putting your time and energy and you're not getting that in return, it's very frustrating as a mentor that the person doesn't seem to be serious. So please get into this relationship only when you are serious about it, when you actually want that person to make a difference in your life. It is not a frivolous thing. It's not something that you can take for granted, and it's very disrespectful when you do that. So if you are serious enough and you're courageous enough to speak out, you are committed enough to take it to the end by doing all the actionables, as Vinay talked about, ensuring that when we follow up, the things are actually right up to the mark and not kind of taken casually. And then I think that's what, so mentors that way are not as demanding. They have few expectations, but if you're able to do that and you're serious about it, then it also kind of gives the energy to the mentor, and they will also kind of give more, because when they know the other person is actually taking this very seriously.
Thanks, Dr. Prashant. Dr. Prashant, there's also one question for you. The previous answer that you gave about the 3 A's.
So it is, I got it. It's, you need to be available, you need to be an active listener, and also need to be analytical. I'm talking about what the mentor should be. So it is analytical, being available, and active listener.
Okay, thank you. Commander Bali, you want to add something here? The expectations that mentors have from
So I think the most important thing, in addition to what Prashant and Vinay have said, is that when I'm mentoring, let us say anyone here is mentoring, they have to have their mentee believe in it. They have to believe the mentor. Until unless they believe the mentor, until unless they put themselves completely, or it's almost like a surrender, that here is this person who I believe can help me in this particular journey of mine, and I believe that that person has the capability of doing it. The ways and the methods are only known to my mentor, and that is the most important thing. I think the greatest mentor now in our lives is the Google. You ask any question and the answer comes out. But there are still teachers who teach us. There are still doctors who treat our ailments. There are still lawyers who fight our cases. There are still many, many things which are done, although Google is supposed to give every answer. So Google can very well be your mentor. Every question has an answer by Google. But why are you still wanting to do this? Because you believe. And unless you believe 110%, okay, and you've chosen wisely, you will always have yourself being detracted. And also, let me tell you, even during this journey of mentorship and mentee, even if you have questions, and when you ask those questions, you have to believe in the answers. Again, going back to the scriptures, in the battlefield, when we say that Krishna mentored Arjun had thousands of questions, and all those questions are, the result is this great book called Gita. There are dialogue between Arjun and Krishna over many things. So there could be thousands of questions. There could be many, many things in your mind. But unless you believe, this relationship will not go forward. Yeah, Ekta, over to you.
Thank you, Commander Bali. And that brings us to the last point, which talks about the relationship between a mentor and a mentee. How far can this relationship evolve? So how does this relationship evolve? Vinay, we can start with you.
I honestly don't have an answer for this question, but my thought is that it can go as far as it can, in terms of maybe you become good friends, maybe you become you start doing business together. There are a lot of times when some mentor mentee, they have an idea, and then the mentor's mentoring, and then suddenly comes on board, etc., etc. But in my mind, whenever your relationship or whenever your status changes, you should cease to exist as a mentor. I mean, that's how I decide, saying that till the time I'm seeking advice from you, you're my mentor. But the minute I say that, okay, come, let's do business together, you're no longer a mentor. So the way you draw this line is when there is something else that happens apart from seeking mentorship, then the relationship should cease to exist. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, thanks, Vinay. Thanks for giving it a different turn. So, Dr. Prashant?
If I look at how the relationship evolves, is that in the beginning, there are expectations. The mentor also has expectations, how the mentee should behave, and the mentee also has expectations of what they are seeking for from the mentor, whether they're going to get it or not. Once the expectations are met, as Vinay said, no, that you have reached where you needed to, now you moved on to the next mentor, because that person doesn't have anything more to give. He's given all that he could. And now you're looking for something different, which is not available with this mentor, and you move to the other mentor. The formal understanding ends. it's not transactional, it's a transformation, but that formal expectations ends, but you are still in touch with the mentor. I always believe mentor-mentee relationship without an expectation is a relationship for life. It is for a period during when the expectations are there, but you will not disconnect. A mentor is somebody you'll always thank. In all your speeches, in all the award ceremonies, you will thank your mentors. You will call them up. You will catch up with them once in a while, but you will do that without any expectations, because now you don't want anything from them, but you are in gratitude because they meant a lot, hence you are in touch with them. But till the time, so it becomes more friendly. It becomes that they're less of a mentor, more of a friend. It becomes more informal. So I think it kind of, the trajectory is that from a very formal, it kind of turns into a very, very informal kind of a thing where you are just like a good friend that you would want to catch up and share good news and bad news about. And that's how the evolution is. But I don't think that it ends. It's not, neither you are cold or nor the mentor is, in a way that he'll say, okay, I'm done. Snap off, contact numbers deleted, we are done. But I think you will evolve into a more informal kind of relationship as time goes by.
Thanks, Dr. Prashant. Commander Bali, you would like to add something here?
Yeah, I will add up what Vinay and Prashant have said. I truly believe mentor-mentee relationships are for a lifetime. They are never transactional. A transactional relationship is not mentor-mentee relationship. And I will exactly echo thoughts of Vinay, that the moment this relation changes into a transactional relationship, it ceases to be a mentor-mentee relationship. So, I mean, it is never about one session is over and please pay me this money, or I'm finished doing this, please, I think before I start the next session. So it's nothing like sessions. It's nothing like that. So we have to very clearly understand and define in our mind that mentor-mentee relationship is a much higher relationship than any of the relationships that you know of, actually speaking. It is not a tutoring. It is not coaching. It is not that, you give me this, I will give you that. It is not about getting tips like the stock market tips. It's not about just tell me how does it work. It is not. So if you're thinking of that, please step back. Neither are you ready as a mentor, nor are you ready as a mentee. You're not ready yet, both of them. A mentor-mentee relationship is a relationship of a lifetime, and it is not transactional at all, ever. If the money comes in, it is more of a, maybe it as a gratitude or something like that you could do. But any transactional relationship is not a mentor-mentee relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Bali. So thanks everyone for adding such insightful points here. Now we'll straight away jump to the questions that we have. We have a few questions here. So one question is how to be a good mentor to my junior batchmates and someone who needs me.
Be a good individual, do the right thing, inspire them. You will automatically become a good mentor. There are no specific steps to say, how do I become a good mentor? It's your actions and the way you behave, what you emit as a personality, that'll make people look up to you. Now, if you're saying I want to consciously transition into a business of mentoring people, then it's a different conversation that we have to have. But as far as, I mean, if I have to think of what did I do to inspire my juniors or get my juniors to ask me or talk to me, is I always did the right thing. I always experimented and inspired them. So that's how, it's as simple as that.
Okay, thanks, Vinay. Dr. Prashant, you would like to add something here?
So I think one on the part which was the coach and a mentor. I think mentor has many hats that they wear. They are a guide, they're a friend, they're a philosopher, they're a coach. But I would differentiate between the two, is that coach is more which works on the performance aspect, while the mentor is one who works more on the development aspect. You're developing and making a person better versus just working on the, and coaching is, that is why it's a limited period. You are coach for a tenure, you're a coach for a year, or you're a coach for 6 months, or a coach for 2 years. While as all of us have said that mentoring is for life, mentoring is not something that is kind of in that period, and you're working on the development of the person per se, not just working on the performance part. I think that's, I would say, one subtle difference between, but as a mentor, at some point of time, you'll be a coach also, but you'll be many more things than just being a coach. On the second part, when we talk about how do you become a mentor in the same organization to your junior, it's I think end of the day, what Vinay said, it's all about your actions. Are they inspiring enough? If your actions are not inspiring enough, nobody will ever call you and say, become my mentor. They will only come to you when they are inspired by you, because they say, I want to become that. Because, that's something that I remember in one of the training sessions we had in one of our hospitals. It's like, we asked everybody that, what do you want to be? So it's like one person pointed to my chair and said that I want to be that person in the future. It's like probably something touched a nerve in him and he wanted to kind of emulate that. And then only they come to you and say that, help me become you, help me become closer to you. What is the kind of magic potion or tricks of the trade that you can teach? I think that is what, if you are able to have that bit of, and it takes a lot of hard work, you have to stretch yourself, you have to create, initiatives, you have to create an impact, then only you'll be able to be, inspiring people. And if you're able to do that, you will start getting queries first from within the department, then outside the department, then outside the organization, then even outside the country. You never know. At one point in time, when you have inspired enough people, that I think that's simple. I think there's no otherwise mantra as such, or any rule book that you have to follow. If you do your job well enough and people recognize that as something which is out of the ordinary, you would definitely get to be, positioned as a mentor. And of course, you may not be a very good mentor in the beginning, but you will evolve as you also go, because in the beginning, you're also kind of searching because you've never done that before. But I'm sure over the period of time, you'll get better at it.
Right. Okay, thanks. So we come to the next question. How to mentor people without being biased and without misguiding them in any way? Who wants to take that up?
Yeah, Vinay can take this.
I think we're all humans, and to err is human. Sometimes we may give wrong advices with good intention. And to answer your question, I think what is more important is that are you intentioning well? Is your advice without any prejudice, or is your advice with an intent of helping that individual? Then even if it goes wrong, which by the way can be a scenario in some cases when it may go horribly wrong, but I think it's okay. It's the intention that should make that call, if you ask me, and not really how do you give the best advice or how do you give the right advice.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. Like Dr. Prashant mentioned in the initial stages, that even a mentor grows, as time passes by. So there are the learnings for the mentor also. Okay, thanks. Anybody would like to add a point or two here, or should I go to the next question?
Yeah, just to add to what Vinay said, Ekta, I mean, just imagine you had a mentor who has done great amount of, experience in, a roll of a dice, and there are numbers from 1 to 6, and that person in last 100 million dice throws, he knows what is going to be the next number, what Vinay spoke about, a decision or a, and when you ask that question to your mentor, that what should be the next number we should call, and the mentor said the number should be 4, and the number landed up at 5. So, despite that person being whatever it was, and intentions were right and all that were right, but still the answer was not what was expected. I think it is perfectly all right, for some of the decisions not to be right at all.
Okay, thank you, Commander Bali. So I move to the next question. Nowadays, it is really difficult to share things with anyone, as time or situation can change any person. How can we make sure the person we choose as a mentor won't disappoint us or misuse the information that we provide to him?
Yeah, I think this is absolutely the crux of this whole relationship, and I feel truly humans have been given this, sixth sense or an intuition. Most of the times, you get that, feeling at the back of your mind that this person is not right, or that this person is right. And I also feel that in the initial days of, interactions and mentorship, you get these signs that something is amiss. So I think that first of all, as I go back again, that you need to choose your mentors very carefully. Not only mentors, I think the mentors have to choose mentees also very carefully, because these things can go really, really wrong. And unless there is 100% honesty and trustworthiness, I mean, I don't think sharing of deep emotions, sentiments, data should be undertaken till the time you really, really get to that comfort level. Ekta.
Anybody wants to add here?
So I think this is a relationship of trust, and choosing the right mentor also is important, because as we said, no, we do background check and you will find out, you will know people whom you can trust, but sometimes you make a mistake, but you learn from it. But you need to choose somebody whom you can blindly trust, and it's almost like going to a psychiatrist and you're talking and pouring your heart out. You don't want your psychiatrist to be talking all over the town about your problems. Hence, if the trust is lacking, or there is a little bit of even a smallish incident which comes out that the person blabbed out to other people, then that's not the person who should be a mentor at all. Stay away from such people, because you're being very, very vulnerable, and you're opening up and you're sharing, you're doing it with that confidence that breach of trust will not happen. And as a mentor also, it's extremely important that you may suddenly get some very, very sensational information or a knowledge that you may want to share, but you should not. It's something you are having that unwritten contract with the mentee, that you will keep that information to yourself and just guide that person rather than making it a tabloid news all over. And it does happen. And the reputation and the trust once broken in such situations, you will have that mentor being kind of banished from all mentees, because obviously nobody would want to go and risk with that person. But I think the bottom line is that this is something which should not be broken. It's a very, very pure and a very, very sensitive relationship that is there, and should be given that respect by both parties. It should not be just the mentor. It has to be given. It's a mutual trust. It also should be given by the mentee also. And if you do that, then this relationship as a sacred relationship gets the respect it deserves, and can also add value to your life.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for adding your inputs to it. We come to the next question by Dr. Mahesh Kumar. Dr. Mahesh, can I ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question, because it needs a little bit of explanation? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, fine. So first, one of my questions was missed. Just I'll go by one. And first of all, I would like to thank all the three today. Whatever they able to explain to me, I was able to connect very well, because I didn't have complete no understanding of this really. So thank you all, one and all, for that. And one thing I wanted to know is, see, success handling is very easy, but failure handling is very difficult. So when the failure is there, then to address the team and to motivate them is really challenging. So if any of there are people can throw some light on that, it will be great. So
I'll just make a statement here, Dr. Mahesh. It may give you a perspective. And this is for me personally. If there is moderation in celebrations in success and moderation in cribbing in failures, you are in the right direction. Which means that a lot of times, people overreact when they fail. And as a mentor, your only job is to normalize failures. Your only job is to make them comfortable with the fact that it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to keep cribbing about it. It is okay to not hit your target, but it's not okay to keep blaming yourself for it. What you need to do instead is, can there be something else that you do to improvise and let that mistake not repeat? More often than not, in about 75-80% of the cases, people understand that the other 20% just want an escape route, so they keep blaming. So that's how I see it.
Thank you very much, Vinay.
Dr. Prashant or Commander Bali, want to add something here?
So I would like to say that, success teaches you nothing. Failure teaches you a lot, actually. Success may get you ahead. You get cocky about it and arrogant about, oh, I'm so successful. And you may not learn valuable things about life. But I think the true test of a person is how the person reacts to failure. One is that you're knocked down, you stay there and as Vinay said, crib about it and blame everybody else. Don't introspect and understand why things went wrong, or you recoup and you regroup and you discuss and you dissect and you find out, and then you can come up and you face the battle again and you hopefully win the next time. But I think the problem is that most of the times we are not in a position to learn from failure because we are so grieving because of that defeat that we are just constantly only blaming others. So there's no lesson learned. And when that same situation arrives again, outcome is the same because you've not learned anything. You've not evolved from that failure. What we have done is that we have, succumbed to failure again. And it becomes a habit then. Obviously, you keep failing. I think that's where a leader or a mentor comes, is to kind of get the team or that person say that, okay, all is not lost. Let's first find out why we failed. What went wrong, and then let's kind of put things into place that we don't repeat the same mistakes again. And if you're able to do that, and rather than finger pointing and pointing the blame at everybody but ourselves, I think first point is let's introspect internally and feel that what did I do which I could have done better. And if you're not able to see that ourselves, it should be the job of a leader, a department head or a mentor to show that, and also be sometimes very, very candid. Sometimes you're not able to understand. You need to have a very plain talk with that person. This is what happened and this is what you need to do. Please understand that. And if you are open enough to understand that, yes, there is an issue which has to be resolved, you will do something about it. And I think from that courage, you will be able to kind of make amends to ensure that the next time the same situation comes, you handle it differently. And of course, even the outcome.
We have the last question of today's session, which is this is a little different from mentoring. It's about basically learning and development. Yeah. So how to build and reinforce a coaching culture and link it to a development program. So anyone, either of you wants to take it up? Yeah.
I'll take it up. In terms of, it's all about culture. Some organizations have a wonderful L&D culture and some organizations don't have. So it's end of the day, how much of value do you give to coaching and mentoring as an organization, as the top leaders, will determine whether you have structured or unstructured programs or not. And if you value it, then you, of course, you will want to have people. And I think even for people to become mentors, you need to help them to reach there. So there are organizations which will have these senior and middle level management been given guidances, whether it's courses or engagements where they can become better in terms of guiding their team members or mentoring. So once you have identified that, yes, this is important for us, you'll do everything in your wherewithal to have both structured and unstructured forms of learnings through coaching, through mentoring, through training. And I think that is what the leadership should. And the ones who don't are going to have lesser engagement, lesser loyalty, lesser productivity, and hope they realize over the period of time. Some of them still don't realize it because they think that what they're doing is right. But in today's day and age, where the new generation is very, very ambitious, but sometimes they lack the wherewithal, so they want that direction, and that has to be provided not from just the books and courses and all. You need to also on the job help them with these programs, and the quicker the organizations value and adopt that, is better for them in terms of how productive their employees are, and also how loyal in terms of stickiness they are. Because if they look at that culture being there, they would not want to leave such organizations. Why would they? Because they're looking at growth opportunities, they're looking at opportunities to become better. So end of the day, it all lies with the top management to understand that and then inculcate and develop it in the organization through these programs.
Thanks, Dr. Prashant. Vinay, you want to add something?
Coaching really is top down. So if you are wanting to build a coaching organization, it has to be top down. That's the only point I want to add.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Commander Bali needs to log out. He has something urgent to take care of. So Commander Bali, thanks for being there. Okay, we are just winding it up in any case. Thanks for giving us your valuable time. Yeah, you can log out.
Okay. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Thank you, Ekta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy mentoring and happy being mentees. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for your guidance.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so with that, we end today's workshop with a big thank you to all of you who have joined us here today. We are really proud to have all of you as a part of this wonderful session. And thank you, Commander Bali, Dr. Prashant, and Vinay for giving us your valuable time and sharing such valuable guiding principles of mentorship with us attendees. We're really lucky to be able to, have your experiences to learn from. The attendees are very lucky to have both of you here. We also thank our sponsors, Upgrad Recruit, for placing their trust in our venture. And yes, a big thank you to all of you for being a part of this session. It's always incomplete without a great audience. Our next Career by Design session is 29th May, so stay tuned. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks,
you.
Vinay. Thanks, Dr. Prashant.
Thank you. Bye-bye.